Replacing the battery on the John Deere 4044M is a little more complicated than I expected. So there are directions. You got to take the grill off. So to get the grill off, you got to take your side panels off, which is when they're in position, they're up here. 10 millimeter. You need a socket and a wrench because they are not captured. Take off both side panels because they attach to the grill. And then the part that I thought was a little hard to understand from the picture is the latches that hold the grill. So on either side, there's two on each side that go up and they hold the grill down, right? And what's a little complicated is they're upside down. These little bosses ride in a track. So you can release it and it'll be loose, but it's not free. You've got to actually lift them up and get them clear of the track. I don't know if you can see the track in the grill. Yeah, see, it's this little track they ride in. You've got to get them up and out of there. And then the grill slides up on these little wings. It slides up and then crashes into the hood, so you got to kind of pry it open sideways. Remember to just connect your headlights before you do that. It's just one plug, so that part's not too bad. Then what's actually holding the battery in is this bar. It locks across the little nub on the bottom of the battery. There are, again, 10 millimeter nuts and bolts that hold the bar in. What's two things tricky about that? One is probably, if it's like my machine, it's buried under mud and dirt and debris you got to clean out to get to the rusty little nut. Also, these bolts are not completely captured. I'm sure at some point they're going to drop out, but you need to have a wrench on the other side too. And there's not a whole lot of room to get your wrench in there. But once they're both released, then the bar can come out, and then theoretically your battery is free. And then just reverse the procedure to put it in, except I'm going to paint the bar and I guess just paint the nuts. I'd like to replace them, but I need to get this thing going again. And of course, clean out all the crud in there. Anyway, a little more complicated than I was expecting, but there's no way I was going to be able to get to those bolts, especially as buried under the mud, without removing the grill. And I guess maybe that's why the instructions tell you to remove the grill. It just wasn't as simple as I thought it was going to be. Getting the grill back on is a real pain. You don't have to actually take it all the way off, and the instructions tell you to move it up and then back slightly, and that makes this tab that normally runs in this track sit in this little notch. I don't know if you can see enough for that to make any sense. Also, it's dark, so I'm trying to have my light not blocked by the camera, and that's not working. But see the shape of that notch, and that little ear rides in that track. Now the challenge is that tab or ear or whatever rides in that track, but also at the same time you've got the guide back here that holds it the other way, and there's another guide down there. So you got to make sure that they're holding from the back. I don't know if, yeah. It's real easy to not have it in here, to have it popped out. Also, I would suggest not having a bucket on the tractor when you're doing this, but I'm standing on the frame anyway. But yeah, the grapple bucket was very much in the way. So the problem is, all right, from here you lift up and you rock it back, you get both sides in that slot, but as you slide it down, it's going to want to kick out from the catches on the back. So you just kind of have to lean over the whole darn thing and hold it and try not to fall, and yeah, just be patient. Good luck. I was hoping that I'd get it done and look in there and say, oh yeah, I totally could have done that without pulling the hood off. But even though you can see the bolts sort of. Having pulled the bracket off, it's such a pain. There's no way. There's just not enough room. You've got to get the hood, or the grill out of the way. I talked about how these side panels go in when it was still daylight. But there's, I guess, 5 mounting points. So on the back, there are these 2 like dowel pins. They go into these bushings. There's one there. There's one that, with my headlight, I don't think I'm going to be able to show you, but you'll see it. It's down. Oh, yeah, it's down there. Okay, so that secures the back. It just slides in. The front, you've got this little tab sticking down, and then there's a little hook inside the front, right there. That tab goes in this slot. I don't think the light's gonna let me show you. Yeah, it's a slot, see? And then there's a little, this little, I don't know, it's like a button or like a bolt head or something. That's what hooks the front where you can't, well, whatever. You'll have one, you'll be able to see it. So what you have to do is you set it inside and like, well, yeah, set it in, and then the main thing is get your pins lined up and your front lined up, and it has to slide back towards the operator seat. And you have to get all of those points lined up, and then there's a bolt, nut and a bolt that go through at the top. 10 millimeter socket and wrench you need for that. Does that make sense? There's no way I can demonstrate it, so good luck. I'm saying that to myself too.